From deep inside Husky Stadium, I'm Brandon Huffman with Scout.com, along with Devil's Digest publisher Hod Rubino. Big win for Arizona State tonight, 24-10 on the road. Taylor Kelly returns in the start. Hod, what did you see tonight from the Sun Devils?
Well, first of all, I think what you saw is this really adverse weather conditions, a lot of wind, some rain that I really think affected both teams. Taylor Kelly did not have his greatest game, but again, 14 out of 25, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have that big pick six, which really turned the momentum of the game, at least temporarily. So it was maybe not the greatest offensive effort. They did just enough to go and win the game. But the story of the game is definitely defense. They, in a sense, gave up 3 points. And this is a defense that really, since that UCLA game, is just night and day in terms of just their effort and just their ability to go ahead and shut down teams. They went ahead and had a pretty good fourth quarter against USC, which helped set them up for the victory. Obviously, giving up 10 points to Stanford last week, and in a sense, only giving up 3 points tonight. So defense really won the game for them, and that's how games are won on the road, especially under adverse weather conditions. It wasn't a pretty game, but ASU did just enough to come with a win.
You talked about the weather, and Arizona State comes from sunny Tempe, Arizona. Washington's used to playing in this kind of weather, yet tonight, at least for the first 30, 40 minutes of the game, it looked like Washington was the team really struggling with the conditions. Special teams-wise, Arizona State came up big with some pump blocks, field goal block, and that really seemed to be the difference in the early part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the weather obviously does affect both teams, and even though Washington is still used to that weather, 50, 60-mile gust winds at the end of the day are going to affect both teams. I just really think it just came to the will of Arizona State to go ahead to go and win this game with everything that was going around, especially the conditions of the weather. Again, I mean, the offense really maybe got affected more, I think, by the weather than defense is. Special teams they helped ASU to go ahead and just block some punts, block some kicks, or at least partially block them, and really go ahead and hinder the Washington offense. The Washington offense was really limited, and again, the fact that they only scored 3 points plus that pick six by Taylor Kelly speaks for itself.
You mentioned since the UCLA game, the Arizona State defense has just taken on a whole different identity. Late in the game against SC, they made the stops when they need to. Against Stanford, they shut them down the entire game. And then tonight, Troy Williams' first start. But again, Arizona State's defense really set the tone going into next week's big home game against Utah, in a game that Todd Graham talked about really determines who's going to win the Pac-12 South, or gives each team the right to have control their own destiny. The Arizona State defense tonight just came up with the plays when they needed to. They got the pick six late after Arizona State had taken the lead. What have you seen in the maturity-wise from this defense these last 3 weeks?
Well, Todd Graham talked about it earlier tonight, and he just felt that the whole process of adapting to an inexperienced defense, knowing exactly what you can really put on them and when you have to really scale back, that was obviously a work in progress for the first 3-4 games. And maybe against UCLA, it came to a negative boiling point, if you will. And after that, I just think the coaches really reassessed how they need to go ahead and approach the defense from here on out. I think having that bye week between USC and Stanford really helped to go ahead and hit the reset button, if you will, and to go ahead and just really adapt your scheme and your style to the personnel you have in place. And I just think that this defense, as inexperienced as it is, was just getting momentum week after week after week. And it's just snowballing, obviously, in the right direction for Arizona State. They definitely have a tough task against Utah. And I think really on the other side of the ball, I think the ASU offense has quite a task, because let's face it, they faced a very physical front seven in Stanford last week, gave up quite a bit of sacks, quite a bit of TFLs. Same thing tonight against Washington. And guess what? The game against Utah is not going to be any different as far as the challenge that the ASU offense is going to go in and have to face. So they're really going to have their hands full too. But the ASU defense, you just feel very confident right now that they can go ahead and win you games like they did tonight.
Michael Bercovici didn't play at all on offense tonight, held on special teams. Taylor Kelly throws the go-ahead touchdown, takes a shot. Looks like, according to reports, that he was getting tested for concussion, so could be right back to Michael Bercovici next week. They return home. They're playing a game, Utah defense, like you talked about. But is this offense clicking more with Michael Bercovici behind center?
To be honest with you, I mean, the offense did sputter somewhat with Taylor Kelly. I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and give him a failing grade, because at the end of the day, when you go ahead and pass for 2 touchdowns, and granted you have the pick six, which obviously negates some of the success that you have, but I think Taylor Kelly played okay. It's conceivable that you're going to have the rust after missing 3 games, and really, in a sense, really missing 5 weeks, because there were 2 bye weeks in between over there, that your quarterback's not going to come back and just be as sharp as a tick as he was in the first 3 games of the season. So it's good to know that you have that option with Mike Bercovici. And I said going into this game, if Taylor Kelly's going to play and play well, so be it. But if he doesn't play well, I think that hook has to come out pretty early, because you know what you have with Mike Bercovici. It's no longer a mystery. I think Taylor Kelly definitely did enough this week to go ahead and play against Utah, and in the weeks beyond. Obviously, his health is going to be a big factor, if it's a concussion or if it's any other injury that he suffered at that very last touchdown pass. But I think right now the offense did okay with Taylor Kelly. I think you can't really put it all on Taylor Kelly because I think they faced a great Washington defense, and that something has to be in the equation too. So I would say right now things are working okay with the offense of Taylor Kelly. Could definitely get better against the Utah game, and maybe that's going to be really the true test. Is Taylor Kelly really back, or maybe there are some issues hindering him? And again, I mean, not only the broken foot, whether it's healed 100% or not, but also the shot they took at last play of the game. I mean, is that really going to affect him next week and beyond? That's going to be something definitely interesting to go ahead and follow.
Well, Arizona State tonight scores 14 points in the final 3 minutes. A Kelly to Chambers touchdown to make it 17-10 and an Armand Perry pick six to end the game, make it 24-10. They clinch bowl eligibility, head into a game at Sun Devil Stadium next week against Utah for what could amount to an early Pac-12 South Championship game. For Hood Rubino, I'm Brandon Huffman. For more information, check into devilsdigest.com.